Hi, everyone. This is Zach with Atlas Agency Launch Lab and Atlas, Atlas Online Solutions with our latest episode of the podcast live, where we promote agency owners and get a peek behind the curtain of the entrepreneur life. If you'd like more information or would like to be featured, check out the link in the comments. Tonight we are joined by Scott and Carrie Ramsey. Why don't you take a moment to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Scott.
I'm Carrie.
We're the owners of Real Life Marketing. We had a real life emergency training was our business before we taught CPR and first aid. And when the pandemic showed up, it made it very difficult for people to put their mouths on mannequins and be in the same room with each other, and any kind of even the most minor medical stuff was pretty much taboo. So we've decided we would rebrand and move up to bigger and better things.
Very cool. How'd you get started? So you mentioned why you got out of your last one, but what made you jump into this specifically?
Well, this specifically, my wife is hardcore computer stuff. You name it, she knows it. If she can do something on a keyboard, it's her thing. So awesome. She discovered the concept of marketing and everything else. And my former background became less than tolerable. Okay. So I said, let's do it. Let's move in and see how well we can do with this. Try to help some people out.
So do you two still have outside employment as well, or is this sort of all you're doing?
Yes.
Sorry, our dog is trying to join the conversation.
Not at all. I saw the door open behind you, but nobody come in. I didn't know if you had ghosts or dog, but
he wants to be part of everything.
So you two came from a background of having a job and working for somebody else. How's that transition going from that to being your own boss?
Well, for her, she's still fully employed. Me, it's a little bit different. It's a lot different. I've been a government employee for a very long time, working for a few different agencies, and with it becoming, I guess you could use the word hostile.
Okay.
I decided I'd take early retirement and started in on this, and it's been interesting for me, to say the least. I'm used to a very tactile environment.
Sure.
Teaching and doing things in the field, but the whole new virtual world, it's been a big learning curve for me.
Awesome. Is it something that you're enjoying, at least?
Yeah, it's been fun. I've learned a lot, and I'm continuing to learn more and more every day that we move on, and it's been very enlightening. Me and ChatGPT started having conversations, and yeah, next thing you know, he knows more about me than I'm comfortable with. Nice guy.
Nice guy. But does what he's told.
Yeah.
What are you most proud of in your journey so far?
Keeping up.
Okay.
Just keeping up. Seeing my other classmates, they were struggling with certain things, and I'm sitting there going, oh boy, I think I'm having a problem here. I don't know if I'm having a problem. Could I be having a problem? Maybe. I'm not quite sure. Am I having a problem? Hey, Sheena, am I having a problem? She said, no, you're doing great. You're way up ahead of everybody else. I said, oh, well, I guess I'm not having a problem.
You don't know what you don't know. Sure.
Yeah, exactly. I know more than I know that I know.
All right. Good. Let's see. What else do we have in here? What's one thing? Excuse me. What is one thing about this space that you didn't really expect?
I didn't expect it to be quite so uninvolved. I thought I would have to be, pushing a broom, or in the world that I came from, throwing people on the ground. I thought it'd be a lot more tactile, and to see that entrepreneur CEO position coming from over here, and learning that, hey, if I don't know it, somebody else does, and I can employ them to do it for me. And there's nothing wrong with that, because that's how big CEOs do things. The guy piloting the desk, he has no clue what's going on in the warehouse or on his trucks or wherever anything is. He just knows how to pilot his desk.
Right.
So I can drive a desk around too. Why not?
There you go. What you mentioned not being in love with your past profession. Given a certain point, and if you were to go back to 18, what would you give yourself for a piece of advice?
At 18, I would have taken a little bit of a different route. I would have not leaned into public safety as hard as I did, and probably would have gone ahead. I'd probably have a doctorate degree by now.
Okay.
If I'd have gone the direction that I probably should have. I mean, I've got a pretty decent IQ. I'm an intelligent guy. I could have done all that stuff, but unfortunately, a lot of the time with intelligence comes, hey, what's the easy way? Is there an easy way? There it is. And I'd go that way instead. So unfortunately, the easy road doesn't always get you to where you want to be.
Sure.
And you have to mature before you can even think about realizing that the easy road ain't going to get you where you want to be. So with a lot of experience and a lot of trial and error, I've finally gotten in the direction of the easy road's back there. Now I'm going down the dirt road, and I'm getting to where I want to be.
There you go. Awesome. Very cool. What's the biggest challenge you're facing right now?
Still fighting with this thing here, machines. The virtual concept. Nothing is real. I'm that guy that, hey, would you like to buy this mouse? I can sell you this mouse. Would you like this mouse? It's awesome. It's wireless and everything. And then I'm sitting here going, would you like to buy something that's on the screen, that's virtual, that doesn't exist yet, but it will give you results?
Right.
I just can't hand it to you.
Right.
It's been quite the hurdle for me, because I'm this guy. Hey, look at what I got.
Right.
It's quite the hurdle.
Well, it sounds like you got a good co-pilot to try to make up for the knowledge gap.
She's done so great in helping me out, trying to figure this stuff out. And she's always been right there helping me out with it, because we are actually a team. She knows more about this stuff than I could ever think about. It's just been a huge learning thing for me. And her, she's like, here, do this. Like right now, when we just started this, I've got 2 screens, by the way, which is freaking epic to me. She's got like 4 over there, and I'm like, this is awesome. So she's like, just grab it and drag it over there. Oh, that's easier than I thought it would be. Thanks, babe.
You're just a disconnect
like
between
my freshman students.
So it's do you think it's just sort of the gap of what you knew before to what you're trying to jump in both feet, and that's sort of your biggest challenge, maybe?
Yeah, if this was Windows 98, I'd be fine. And if I was still using the old stuff from back then, like
A dot matrix printer.
Adobe Photoshop from back then, I could do stuff, and I knew how to do stuff. And now I go into these new things, like I go into Canva and I'm like, I want to do this, but it doesn't let me do this. Why are you not letting me do this? We argue with each other constantly because I'm actually, I believe that back in the olden days, computers were much more, they let you do things. You could get into back end of stuff and you could tweak stuff and change things. And now I try to change something and that's not how you do it. You got to come over here, or you got to use this other thing, and to me, it's become a lot more complex than it used to be, but I used to be able to do a lot more complex things.
Sure.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, of course. If somebody else were in your situation, where they can do the sales and stuff, and they can do a lot of this, but the tech part, wasn't their forte, what would you give for advice besides having somebody sitting next to you that can give you all the answers on the test?
Hire someone knowledgeable
Outsource? Sure.
and trust them.
Be that CEO. Be the guy that creates opportunity for other people. And
Absolutely.
Sometimes when you don't know what you're doing and you need to outsource it, don't look at it in a way that you're losing anything or, man, there goes an opportunity. No, look at it that you are creating opportunity for other people, because I need him, which is pretty obvious, whoever it is. I need that person to be able to do this for me. Yeah, I'm going to pay him, but he's creating opportunity for me. I'm creating opportunity for him. It's a good give and take. And I see that's how you get places, and the trust part is probably one of the hardest parts. But yeah, I'm not exactly built in with trust. So
gotcha. Well, yeah, it is good to know exactly what it is that you want somebody else to do, so you can check their work. And but if you're really struggling and you got to make it work, it's better to have a piece of this pie, than to have all this pie. You can also move so much faster. With that comes the risk of moving too fast, and someone either lying on their resume about their qualifications, or trying to pull a fast one on you. But it's all part of the learning curve as well, right?
Yeah.
It comes back to the old saying, trust but verify. So when someone tells you they can do that, trust them, but then also check their references, check their portfolios. If someone wants to portray themselves as a web developer, great. I need to see 4 projects, but I don't want to see 4 of the same. I want to see 4 different projects. I want to see something you did here. I want to see something here. Look for, separate industries that they've worked for or things that they've developed, because that's going to give you an overall idea of what they're capable of. And then the other thing is setting the expectations ahead of time, telling them, this is what I want. Know in your head what you want, but then be flexible when they come back and say, I understand you want this, but to make that happen the way you want to do it may not work. So you also have to be open to that. And that's the biggest thing I see from years of building websites for people, building websites for companies, large companies. All your stakeholders know what they want, but you can't always achieve it. And sometimes they have to come to the understanding of what they want and what can actually be done are 2 different things. And so you have to be flexible yourself to understand that what you're asking for, you may have to envision a different way to make it happen.
Gotcha. Yeah. That's really good. What would be one piece of advice that you give to somebody starting out?
The first thing, find a good, reputable mentor to work with. Doing this alone is not feasible. The wheel's already been invented. but there's a lot of shady wheels out there, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
And figure out what will work for you. There are programs out there to help people, but they're kind of like a puppy mill. They're just churning out thousands of students a month, and you're just a number on their line item. And investigate. You're going to spend a good chunk of money on a good mentor. If it seems like a really spectacular price, and then it might not be such a great program. I'm not saying you need to spend all the money in the world, but you need to look at what the value you're getting for that money, and don't just look at one. Look at many different groups.
Sure.
We were very, very fortunate when we found Atlas, because up until that point we'd used a mentor. Then our time ran up, and we were struggling on our own to make things still work. And it was one of those situations where we were just throwing good money after bad.
Right.
Until we actually found a mentor that we aligned with, and someone that knew how to take it and grow us to the next level.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys are enjoying what we're putting out for you guys. We're finding that the space has a fairly low barrier to entry. Yes. It's a computer and a Wi-Fi connection. Excuse me. So, one of the biggest things that drove us to make this program was that we found so many people that were getting involved with these groups. And, it may be good information, but it may not be exactly what they needed. Or if the information was even up to date, or if there were even agency owners themselves. But find that we were getting a lot of questions coming our way. And it was instead of just sitting here for hours on end answering my Facebook DMs, why don't we try to actually help these people? And instead of just, here's what you do and you push these buttons, it has the entire wraparound of how to actually be the business owner. I lost my train of thought, but I'm glad you guys like it. What would be, let's see, not that one. What's one lesson that entrepreneurship has taught you and you think everyone should learn at some point in their life?
It's okay to fail, and it's okay to sell your business and start fresh.
That was a big one. It was not easy.
Yeah.
What? It's definitely the inherent. I don't want to fail, so I'm just gonna keep learning and watching videos and reading books and this and that. And if you think that you're going to jump into a space that you've never been in and you're just going to succeed, it's almost. Why would you think that you're going to be good at this if you've never done it before?
Right.
Can you explain a little about how, obviously, a lot of people might not have owned businesses in the past that they've had to sell, but sort of what was that? What was the thought process behind it? And sort of, where was your ego at, and how does somebody wrap their head around that decision?
So we actually didn't have to sell our old business. We had to shut it down, wrap it down, because there wasn't a customer base left to sell, which when you're selling a business, yes, you have inventory, but what you're selling is your tangible product, what you're out there doing. And as an education center, that's your customers, your clients. And with everything that happened, that had dwindled down really small. So there wasn't even the ability to sell it off.
Gotcha.
But at first I was looking at it as, we completely failed with this business. We had it for 15 years. We were well over $300,000 or $400,000 invested in it by the end. And I was like, it seems like such a failure. But then when you look back at it, we realized we paid off $100,000 business in under 5 years.
Wow.
That was not an unsuccessful business. I mean, it paid its own bills. It paid for it to pay itself off. We offered, a product where people were coming back, which is kind of unheard of in a certification type industry, to have repeat customers, every 2 years. They're showing back up. They're tracking us down. They're trying to figure out where we, what location we're teaching out of.
Awesome.
So it was the understanding that while the world has changed and how that's being offered, and very few small businesses are even successful at doing it, we had a 15-year run of success with it. And looking back, seeing how we managed that and the growth that we just had inside that, because we were both working full-time at our other jobs while running that business.
Gotcha.
Wow. Looking back now, it's kind of like that. It's the lessons you learn afterwards. It's the, wow, we did this. We were able to do this. And I think that's what opened our mind to Scott being able to step away from his job and move into this full-time. Was not looking at that as we lost a business. It was looking at as we wrapped up that business, and all of the lessons we learned from it, we can now apply to our new one. But it's hard until you can shift your mindset to that. And, I had it told to me, selling a business is not the end, or is not that you didn't do a good job. It's giving the opportunity to somebody else to take over where you're leaving off. That you had something left to tangibly go out and resell is huge.
Yeah, absolutely. And even if it was a total wash and somehow didn't make any money, just the life lessons that that you would have learned along the way, that you can't find in a book, right? Or even if you do, it doesn't stick the way it does. So there's always something to gain from no matter what you find as a failure. Would you say that would be? Yeah.
Yeah. The lessons that we learned were priceless. The fact that we learned how to talk to people more than anything. It was the interaction with the people and how to teach. It helped both of us in our other careers, because, well, the professor, that's what she does for a living now, is teaching people. And I did that for a living for quite some time, being that I was an instructor. We couldn't have done that without that business.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And the people that we met, that's invaluable in itself, just because the connections that we made with certain people, absolutely priceless. Absolutely priceless.
Awesome.
And ironically, that business, just in the past 4 months, people have started coming back. Customers, old clients have started coming back saying, hey, we want you guys. Can you come back? We did not open the public side. Our government side, we have some government agencies that we still work with for that. Those clients are still in place, but we don't have to do the day-to-day with them. They have their own instructors. We're their facilitator for them to have the program to be able to do it. And I oversee all the compliance issues and the regulatory issues
CEO.
for them. So
CEO, there you go.
Yeah. So, while I say, yeah, that business is closed down, in reality, it's still there. It's still in the background. It's just, we're not working it in the same way that we were before. We see that offering one item, one product at a very low price point just is not a way to run a business, but it does allow the agencies that use that certification, I can get it to them at the lowest cost out there, so that, because it's funded by taxpayers. It's It's the responsible thing to do. There are other places that are marking it up tons just because it's a government contract. And on the flip side of that, because I was doing RFPs for government contracts, I had a huge education in how to bid something, how to do an RFP, how to submit a bid in a closed bid process to a government agency, how to do all the hoops, how to jump through everything to actually get paid. Those are life's lessons that when there's a paycheck coming with it are a much better lesson to learn.
Yeah, there's a little bit more than just I guess business in general than just what is it? Just because you're really good at it doesn't mean that you should, give up your paycheck job so that you can go do it just because of everything else. And I think that's a spot in this field that not a lot of people are ready for, just because there is such a low barrier of entry, and has a lot of cowboys, right? They can go out and do the one service wonders. So, that's really cool. What would you be able to sort of explain what it was that you were doing, or is that?
Oh, sure. So we were a CPR first aid training center, and we were providing CPR first aid to the public. We were also providing it to workplaces. We were providing it to government agencies, and we also have an ACLS PALS side, which is a
really okay.
Yeah, so it's a higher level of CPR for professionals. And where my learning to delegate came in is I'm an EMT, but I'm not a paramedic. He was the former paramedic.
Right.
But for us to offer ACLS, I needed somebody that I could trust to run the ACLS side of the business. And I have that with someone. So we can still offer the certifications. I just have another person that manages that side of the business.
Gotcha. Cool.
So
very cool.
Well, that's still out there, and it was where I cut my teeth on teaching, and that's led to so many opportunities for me. I mean, that was part of what led to me. I'm now a college professor.
Oh, what do you teach?
I ironically do not teach EMT stuff generally. Okay. My background is technical. I have a bachelor's in security programming, and I teach IT classes. I teach Java. I teach data management courses for it's a new bachelor's in data analytics. I'm teaching some of the lower level 200 classes on data management. Java. I teach a software system called Pega, which is a banking software and CRM software, and I'm a certified instructor for Pega. So those are the courses I specialize in.
Very cool. So the digital marketing thing isn't too big of a step for you then?
No, it's really not. In fact, my job before I started teaching programming was software development at one of the colleges. I was staff, and that's one of the things we were responsible for was the college website and intranet, and that's very closely tied with marketing. I mean, I met daily with marketing because your website is your marketing face. It's a marketing tool, and that's where when the idea was to start our own business, I was like, I really like that side of it. Yes, I know how to code. I hold my own coding. Obviously, I'm competent enough to teach it to people and have them pass my classes. So yay. But I really enjoy web design, marketing design. It's the creative side that I like. And so to open a business, I would rather do it there than in just be out there writing software for people.
Sure. Okay. Now you mentioned that you did CPR and PALS. It's nice that you got into a field that requires recertification.
It does help,
right? So you're mentioning that you're getting the reoccurring customers. if you were to teach the 4 or 5 month just EMT course, and then you can, do your research online or through a different agency, then you're just looking at the one-off cost, but you were able to jump in where even though CPR doesn't really change, they're, you got to come in. So that's, was that something that you looked at when you started it? Was, okay, as long as we do a good job, they're going to come back because they have to? Or was it more of just something that you wanted to do and that was just a perk?
So we actually kind of fell into that business. Our daughter's best friend at the time's parents owned the business.
Okay.
And we were sitting at one of their sports games. I believe it was a basketball game. And we were sitting there talking, and one of the kids got injured on the court, and the athletic trainer wasn't paying a lot of attention, like had no knowledge or idea that my kid was laying almost unconscious on the court. And, I was one of those where originally I went to school for sports medicine. I was an athletic trainer for 7 years.
Wow, okay.
And I was an EMT, and I'm watching my kid laying on the court and nobody's attending to her. So finally I stood up and I was like, if you're not going to go take care of my daughter, I'm going to do it myself. Thanks. And I walked down to the court and started rendering care for her head injury. And afterwards, that my daughter's best friend's dad said, I own a CPR training center. Would you like to be an instructor? And I was like, I can teach CPR. Why not?
Yeah.
And so I started teaching for him. And then after about a year and a half teaching, he came to us and said, I want to sell our CPR training center. It's either going to go to this big corporation and they're going to rat out your jobs. You may not have them. Or if one of the instructors wants to buy the agency, I'd be happy to sell it to one of you guys. And he was really struggling to make it go. And so I went to Scott and I was like, this could be something fun to own. Let's talk pricing. Let's find out how to buy a business.
Sure.
So, and we talked to the owner and we came up with a price of what the business was probably valued at, and how you sell a business. And then the running joke between us was, well, okay, if the bank approves the loan, I guess we'll own a business. And the bank approved a signature $25,000 loan, and the owner agreed to carry the rest of the business with 0%. Awesome. So we signed all the dotted lines and we looked at each other and we're like, oh my gosh, we own a business. This is not the way to go into owning a business.
What do we do now? I didn't think we'd get this far.
Right. Yeah. So that led us to a crash course in, I found a new business owner group at the library that I joined that was, basically business owners that coach new business owners. And I walked in with my little packet of papers. I'm like, I don't know what to do next. That's how I learned, you have to bid jobs and you need to know how to make an RFP. You need to know how to answer an RFP. And
gotcha. Jumping in with both feet. Nice.
We jumped in with both feet going, well, we're going to have a $900 payment next month. Let's figure this out.
Let's figure out how we can get other people to pay for it. Nice. Well, good. Excuse me. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
On a boat.
Nice.
That's my whole goal. See, I'm an outdoorsman, hardcore. Fishing, being outside. My boat that I used to have fell apart on me, basically. The batteries blew up. Don't buy your batteries from a place like Walmart. So they blew up. They ate out all my bilge plumbing. I sold my boat for a song to another officer that I knew. And I want another boat. I really enjoy fishing. So I see myself in 5 years, other people doing my work for me and me fishing.
Is other people sitting next to you?
No, she'll still be teaching people because that's actually her passion. Is she likes to spread knowledge around. So she'll probably continue to spread knowledge around until she's probably can't get on my boat anymore.
There you go.
Yeah. And It's nice though, because by growing the business, we can, we've got the opportunity to, the thing with education, especially being in a public education system, I work for a public college, wages, they're not what you would make out in the world,
Sure.
everybody knows that.
Mm-hmm.
And sadly, a lot of teachers, they max out their schedules. Like they teach every credit they will let them teach just because of the income. And I don't want to be that way. I want to have a lower number of classes. The number of classes, I want to have a manageable schedule, one that I'm not feeling like I'm constantly rushed, constantly having to grade the next assignment, because you can give more to your students that way.
Sure.
So you can spend the time, you've got more free time to go enjoy the events that are going on at the college. You've got more free time to, go watch a sporting event every once in a while, instead of trying to grade papers while you're looking up at the screen every once in a while to see what the score is. So, for me, having the business viable and, functioning it's just one of those ways where I can be more invested in my teaching without running myself ragged.
Gotcha. So it'd be more of a means to an end. Is that sort of what I'm getting out of this?
Yes.
Yes and no. I mean,
Okay.
there's the whole enjoyment factor, because once it's up and well running, and even though we can step back, that's when the fun comes in, because then you can look at some of this stuff going on and be like, oh, I feel like designing ads this week. And you may choose this week to go design the ads, whereas you're not designing them because you have to, you're designing them because you get to now. You've got that ability to step back. You've got your team of people in place that can handle it, but you can jump in and do some of the more fun tasks every once in a while.
There you go.
And I can go back to volunteering too. So it would be nice to be able to do that.
Volunteer doing what?
Volunteer law enforcement. I did it for 8 years, and I really enjoyed it, but I had to get out of it due to conflict of interest.
Sure.
And now it was a matter of, after that, it was time. Time wasn't on my side. And I'd like to get it back to where time's on my side, and I can do the things that I enjoy and, work less.
There you go. Use it as leverage. You get what you want. Sure.
Yeah. Retire, but not really retire.
Yeah. I got you. What does volunteer law enforcement entail? That's something I'm not familiar with.
Oh, well, there's all kinds of different levels. I volunteered for the Arizona Rangers.
Okay.
I was their training sergeant. So I was in charge of all of their training and their officer safety type stuff, firearms, the whole 9 yards. And then I advanced on the conflict of interest was I actually started getting paid to do such things.
Sure.
So you can't volunteer and get paid at the same time. So I had to step away from that and go work for the agency that I worked for. And I did the same stuff. I was teaching firearms and officer safety and de-escalation and all the things that kept guys with badges safe.
Sure.
So, that's one of the reasons why I don't do any of that anymore, is the whole political climate.
Sure.
But I digress.
Gotcha.
But I would like to get back to being an Arizona Ranger and volunteering and giving some time back to the people.
Very cool. Very cool. So it's not just all about the money.
No.
There you go.
And I do search and rescue, and
nice.
Having the agency up and functioning just means I can buy more toys for search and rescue.
Yeah.
Because you cannot be in search and rescue without being a gear junkie. Which, I mean, a lot of people go, you're an IT, but you're also an EMT, and you do search and rescue. Like, they just don't see the whole correlation. But search and rescue can be such a technical thing when you start looking at search grids, GPS coordinates, mapping coordinates, just even our call out software. There's a whole technical side to it people don't even think about.
Does that make you a rope weenie too, or?
She's got more gear than I know what. I mean, I'm an outdoorsman. I hunt and fish,
Sure.
and I have all kinds of these hobbies, and her gear has overrun mine, and all she does is go look for lost folk. So I don't know.
We like to be comfortable while we do it, is what we joke. Like,
Gotcha.
I'll take a whole car full of gear for a search, and he's like, why is there, you have an entire camp set up in your car? And I'm like, yes, because the 8 hours that I'm coming out of the field and I need to sleep before I drive home, I want to be comfortable for that.
What she doesn't say is it's not just an entire camp's worth, it's an entire camp's worth for 8 people. She's got more stuff. And
We're a comfortable team.
I'm a minimalist. See, when I go out in the field, I wear a tiny little backpack with just enough water and the bare minimum things that I need to do what I'm doing that day. Now, when I go fishing, it's a different story. I have 54 different fishing rods. So, and at any given time, 14 of them will be on the deck. But they don't take up a lot of space. They're real thin.
As long as you got the height for it.
Yeah, well, yeah. I think my 14 feet's the longest one I got.
Gotcha. Has there any niche specifically that you guys are working on right now?
Yeah, we're working towards more of the holistic providers, such as acupuncturists. What are they called?
Physical therapy, acupuncture, chiropractors, naturopaths.
Sure.
People that are out there. We want to help people help people.
Okay.
And
awesome.
We have found that a lot of these people in particular are they're not out there. People don't see them as much. It's not like doctors. I mean, if you turn on the TV right now, every other commercial is a drug commercial. The medication commercials have run over the TV. So everybody sees modern medicine and it's all up in their face. But these people are trying to help people in a holistic way, in my opinion, much more healthy. And I want to help them help other people.
There you go. Awesome. Very cool. We're getting right about the 45-minute mark. I know that there's other people in this space that they just like to run along and have inside jokes and stuff. So this podcast is, if it is a podcast, it's just sort of trying to get people that are maybe struggling in the space, and maybe we can find some wisdom, or if it's excuse me, a couple like you that are just starting out, and they want to know the ins and outs and stuff. So where can listeners find you online?
reallifemarketing.us, or our Facebook page, Real Life Marketing, or Instagram. We are actually Real Life Carry, and it's Real Life Karri.
Okay.
Because marketing is being held hostage by somebody not in the United States.
Okay, interesting.
So they're not using it, but they won't give it up. So.
Gotcha. And how can listeners support you and your work?
Well, spread the word. We exist. We're here. We're more than happy to help. Just because of our niche doesn't mean that we don't have other opportunities out there. We both are well versed in a lot of different things. I have a degree in restaurant management for some reason. I just showed up one day. I spent a couple of years wearing a funny white suit, and now I have a degree in how to cook. So I know how to deal with restaurants. I've done pest control. She's got so much stuff. So don't let our niche scare you off. If you need help with something, we're here to help you out.
Yeah. follow us on Facebook. We have a brand new Facebook group that's going to start being active here, and join our group. Be one of the ground people. Let's get it going.
All right, wonderful. Well, thanks you guys for taking your time and coming on here with me, and hopefully, excuse me, anybody that's listening now or to the replay can find some gold nuggets or some answers to some questions they've been looking for. So until next time, thanks for coming on. I'll see you later.
Thanks for having us.